We are. I feel like so much just happened. Are we recording?
I'm like attacked. I'm just so attacked today.
We've been recording.
It is such a day. Oh my gosh. What's up, guys? Mike Frank with Frank Oliver Collective of EXP Realty, and Christian in his baseball shirt, Olson. What is this shirt? Rare Guitar, California. Can I ask how baseball shirts became like a thing for everybody?
I don't know. That's actually a very
It just doesn't make sense. Like, why are baseball shirts a thing
but
for
I feel like you have like three.
No, I have one. And it's a Tom Ferry one, and he gave it to me personally. So
okay, that's kind of cool.
It was.
I feel like everyone should just have one, and this is mine. This is the only one that I have.
I'm gonna get rid of mine actually because it's faded.
Why? I want to buy new ones, bro.
Yeah, I mean it.
Pass it down, then. I'll have two.
Jesus Christ! Here we go.
Come on, man. Don't hit on baseball too.
The struggle today was I'm wondering, like, is everybody just so busy because like,
I have a full-time job.
Heather's just fucking up there working and doing
She's
shit.
Been crushing it, man.
Focused for sure.
I love it.
Focused. Speaking of focus, today we were talking about equity lines of credit and what you can do with the home equity that you build. And as I was ranting, doing nothing, I realized how important building equity really is.
Okay.
So last week I was talking to somebody, and I was coming to the realization that in a generation or two or three, there will be a new class of people, right? Like go back to like medieval times and shit.
Do you think okay, I feel like I know where you're going with this, but maybe I don't.
Okay.
There's just going to be a new class of people that have a shit ton of equity in more than one property, and they're going to own like
that's
5, 10 plus.
What I think will happen
there's going to
in
be
the future.
There's going to be like community, not even communities, because all the properties aren't going to be like side by side. But like they're like you could have like 50 properties in the Baltimore area. This other person's going to have another 50. Then this other person have another 50. Another person's going to have 10, 20, whatever. And then I don't know, like I don't know what happens after that, but that creates that new, like, I don't want to say class, but like equity.
But it's literally a class, right? Like if you go back to like class systems way back when, there was the people trying to think from like my history classes, but there were the kings and the queens and the royalty and the dukes and the sirs and the whatever, and then there were the peasants. There were like the haves and the have-nots, right? Yeah. And back then there was something that I think is going to happen again, right? Like history repeats itself. There will be property owners and there will be property renters. And that's it. That's the only type of people that will exist in the world. Property owners and property renters.
Okay, here's a question. I feel like there's like a life cycle to property. No?
I don't know.
Because so like let's say you have 50 properties. How long are you going to hold on to all 50 of those?
Well, there's a logical play, right? So for some people, they want to hold on to their properties as long as they can juice the money, right? For other people,
like
they want
like
to play
the equity
it once.
Caps,
till the equity caps,
the growth caps.
Well, but think about this, right? If you were to buy a property for $100,000 cash, your own cash, and then you wanted to buy another property and you didn't have any more cash, you couldn't buy another property. So the only way to buy that second property is to take equity out of this one to buy that one, right?
No, okay.
So then you want to buy another property, but you now have your equity split between two, and can you take more equity out? And so have you juiced the property as far as it'll go? And then the cost of repairs and maintenance, the cost of depreciation, the cost over time of management and expenses, plus your year over year expenses of doing your taxes, your financial management, so on and so forth. Maybe it's time to sell that property and move into another one. So to me, I think this is where we start to talk about your financial portfolio. And so for some of us, myself included, I'm kind of like amassing whatever I can get my hands on.
Right.
It's not so much a focus of this exact type of property, because I saw so many people making that mistake. Oh, I only want property that has this return, has this ratio, has this, has this, that, has this, the other. And an example of one, I think this predates Liv, to be honest with you. Were you here for Monaca Avenue? No. Oh, Monaca Avenue. So this owner had bought this property and wanted a specific return on his investment. So he bought a property with that return. But the other encumbrances surrounding that investment made it not even worthwhile to own the investment. So in the 2.5 years that he owned the property, he lost money. It's like
at that
his
point, why
portfolio
does he
didn't make sense
why
to
does
me.
he not just keep it and keep like renters in there and
Because the cost of maintaining it didn't make sense. So finding the tenant, carrying the tenant stops paying rent, the person charging him to evict the tenant,
okay, I feel like all that though
can be avoided.
Right.
But it's avoided by setting your expectations. So the example that I'm going to say here is his expectation was to turn, let's just use a crazy number. He wants to turn a 30% profit year over year, which means that if he invests $100,000, he wants to make $30,000 back.
I feel like that's pretty fucking high.
It's fucking doable though.
Yeah.
$2,700 a month, right? $100,000 investment. If you could do it, right? I'm not saying it works everywhere, but if you could charge $2,700 a month. But the thing that I know about charging the top dollar for rent, I don't care if your market rent is $800 or $900 and you want to charge $950, or if your market rent is $2,000 to $2,500 and you want to charge $25. When you charge the top dollar rent, you do not find the ideal tenant. You find the only tenant that will pay the top dollar rent.
Okay.
So what I want is I want a median price point, but I want the best tenant. It's like a balance, right?
Right.
An example here would be you live in a property where you rent for way less than market value, and the expectations of you as a tenant are way, way, way high. But it's okay because you're a good quality tenant. So the balance there is in balance.
Right.
The problem is that you get these people that want to have top dollar rentals, $2,700. I only want to invest $100,000, $2,700. I don't want to hire a property manager. I don't want to do the maintenance. I don't want to improve the property. I don't want to deal with the tenant when they can't pay rent or they're late on rent or whatever. And all of a sudden, everything starts to go downhill because you're expecting so much.
Here's a question, and maybe this is like way off into the future.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're talking about these new class of people, like the equity people versus renters,
right?
Do you think when those renters want to turn into people that are building equity, we're still going to deal with that problem of no inventory, and it's going to be very difficult for them to make that happen?
I think that it's going to be a change on the culture, and so something that people learned quickly. There's a company, I have a lot of respect for them. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, so I'm not going to label the company, but they based out of Pennsylvania. And they started their business in Pennsylvania, renting, flipping, building property. That was their model. They came down into Baltimore County, into Maryland, and they started to grow out their model here. And they started building the same property. They started renovating the same property. They started placing the tenants in the same way. And what they realized was when they were placing the tenants in the same way, they were losing money, because they weren't analyzing the property the way that we need to look at it here locally. When they were renovating the property, they were under improving the house, and so it was taking a longer period to sell it, right? When they were building property, they weren't building up to the common, I'm going to call it the common code, right? You don't have to use granite to sell a brand new kitchen, but if you don't have granite, it's like a negative. So when I have the option to go to Ryan Homes or, there's 50 million different homes, right? I could go to all the big money builders, or I can come to this small company out of Pennsylvania, and they don't have all the bells and the whistles that, Richmond American has. Well, why would I buy their property?
Right.
And so they realized quickly that when they moved into Baltimore, they had to change their whole model, because in Baltimore, people wanted granite. They wanted new kitchens. They wanted new floors. They wanted refinished things.
I'm curious to know who this company is.
Well, I'm not going to say it.
Well, like after.
Yeah. But they adjusted their model really, really strongly. So what I think is that the prospective purchaser here in Maryland today needs new cabinets, needs new countertops, needs new appliances, wants the top of the line, the best of the best.
Do you think that's an unreal expectation?
Well, and that's where I'm going, is that maybe in the future, let's say 20, 30, 40 years from now, when that next purchaser is coming in, they might not have that expectation, because becoming one of the homeowners,
right,
and not one of the renters, is going to be bigger and more important.
That's what I mean. I've started to see it and kind of like understand as well. I think some people are starting to have that realization. Not everybody, but like people will complain about like the smallest things, or like, oh, the cabinets aren't updated, or there's no granite or whatever, and they don't understand the opportunity that it has.
Right,
putting that in when they move in, or just having equity being built in period.
Right. Well, and I'm going to use one of our clients, Mark, who I know does not follow this, but shout out to Mark because one of my earlier clients, and he was like, fuck it, I want to buy a house. And I was like, okay. He's like, I don't even care that it costs more than rent. I was like, all right, cool. He's like, and I'm going to rent it to other people. And I was like, this sounds great. Right. So 10 years ago, he goes and he buys a $380,000 house, which was way expensive for Canton at the time. Way expensive.
How long ago?
9 years ago.
Damn.
It was a long time ago,
Yeah.
right? And he got locked in at an interest rate that I had never seen before, 3.75. Right? Like, or 4.25 or something like that. Like I had never seen that low of an interest rate before. And he bought this house and he wanted to rent it out. And I remember, I'm going to make fun of him a little bit. So kudos to Mark, right? I remember he posts all these pictures online and I was like, bro, what the fuck are you doing, right? Like he's trying to sell this rental for so much money and he was asking like $1,100 for a bedroom and a bathroom. He was asking $1,200 for the basement. He had 2-car parking and a rooftop deck and all the things that you could want, right? Fast forward to today.
I feel like
he's probably charging $1,500 for that basement.
Yeah.
He's probably making money on his 2 roommates, positive cash flow because of the time that he purchased.
Yeah, but
not
also
what he purchased.
I would also just think about the equity he has built up. If you bought a house in Canton for $380,000 back in the day,
let's look at it.
What is it worth right now?
We're gonna look it up.
Like it's got to be worth. I would say easily over $500,000.
Let's find out.
But I don't know what the house looks like. You said 2-car parking.
Oh, it's
finished
sick.
Basement.
Well, I'll pull up the old pictures. I'm not going to give you guys the photos or the address because I don't want to put him on blast. But oh, man, the internet is not running well today.
It's weird.
You should just restart it.
How?
Look at Heather off her.
How are you going to be like how?
Well, I meant
Anyway, it's right here. I know it's right there, but I gotta wait for it to load. Sorry, Charlie. Anyway, so I mean, he probably has 100 and if I had to bet, he probably has $160,000 of appreciation, just market appreciation.
It's kind of loading. I don't know.
Let's see here.
Those, but
no, it's not. He probably has like $160,000 of market appreciation plus any principal pay down, and we know that he's got $70,000-$80,000 in principal pay down since then.
So yeah, he's probably, his home value is probably over 500,000. He probably has what, if he were to cash out, over 200 grand in equity, right?
Yep.
Easily.
Yep.
What do you think his monthly payment is? You think he
$2,300, $2,400?
Do you think he refinanced at all?
I hope not. God, I hope not.
What, he probably could have gotten lower, but
I'm not a big fan of it.
Okay.
I'm gonna spend the entire fucking podcast trying to pull this up, and it won't pull up. It's right there.
Just disconnect from your internet, dude.
We'll see. Anyway, so to me, it's about those people, those future people. That's not him.
I want to be one of them.
I want to be the very best that no one ever was. No? Okay, fine.
No, I don't know that one. Lost me there.
So I'm not going to pull it up. Anyway, so I think that if you were the person in 20 or 30 years that focuses on granite counters and focuses on having the nice thing, you're going to pay the top dollar. You're never going to be able to find a home because that's going to be very, very, very limited. I also feel like
you're cutting the return that you could possibly get on
the
house.
Because you're looking at it as short-term happiness.
Right.
Take this shirt, for example. I've owned this shirt for probably 6 years.
Is it an Oakley shirt?
It is an Oakley shirt.
What the fuck?
You know why I like this shirt? Because when I worked at Bond Street Social in the summer, we were allowed to wear red polos.
Yeah.
And I had bought 5 different types of red polos, and I landed on an Oakley one that I found at like Marshall's or something. And it was so fucking comfortable. I wore it all the time. So then I went online and I found another one that I could wear for golf, and I've owned this for like 6-7 years.
I like it.
And I love it. Right? Because it makes me
Oakley
happy, but by
polo.
wearing it again and again and again and again and again, not only does it make me happy, but I get rejuvenated use out of it.
Yeah.
Right? When you have a home and you use the shit out of it in 10 or 12 or 15 years, it's now no longer worth what you bought. Not because of depreciation, not because of it's worn out or anything else, but it's because it's not in style. Nobody wants to buy it.
Yeah.
If I was to sell this shirt today, it'd be like $6.
So how often would you say
yard
people
sale.
like need to update their kitchen, or like what would you say every 10 years?
Well, never.
What? Okay. What is if I don't?
I will quote my
know what to
mom.
say.
I will quote my mom.
Okay.
My mom wanted to renovate her kitchen because she wanted a nicer kitchen. She wanted an island. She had a peninsula. She wanted a trash can pull out so she didn't have to deal with the trash can. She wanted all these niceties. I want, right? Mm-hmm. But instead of buying what she wanted, my mom said, if I'm going to sell this house in 3 or 4 or 5 years, I'd rather enjoy the money that I spend than sell it to somebody brand new. So she renovated her kitchen with the intention of selling. It was like an improvement made for sale. But if she renovated her kitchen and then lived there for 10 or 12 more years, it might have gone out of style, gotten worn out, gotten worked through.
That's what I'm kind of, That's
so like, take Roger and Abigail? No. Who was the couple that we met with that was going to renovate their kitchen?
Oh, Felix and Ada.
Felix and Ada. Take Felix and Ada right now, right? If they renovate their kitchen and they make it into this big custom designer fanciness, which she has so much vision for, and it would be amazing.
Yeah.
In 10 years, that's going to be out of date.
Right.
So is she designing it with a plan for future improvement? Because maybe she is. Maybe she says, hey, I'm going to put this up and I'm going to be able to pull it down and then put up something new. Or maybe she's just making an improvement, like building a fireplace through her kitchen island because that's what she wants. But then in 10 years, that's like way fucking out of date. By the way, don't build a fireplace through your kitchen island. It'd be a terrible idea. But I just wanted to throw out something wild.
Have you seen that before?
No, I just wanted to throw it out.
Dude, I mean, you never know.
But the thing is, like, people do that dumb shit.
Yeah.
Where it's like hyper specialized. There was one that I saw recently that was like, did you send this to me? The taxidermy basement? I don't think so. Maybe it was Mark Barr. It was one of those like Zillow Gone Wild TikToks.
Okay.
This dude, he's like, this house only has 6 photos. I want to preface it that this is the main house photo. This is the entry photo. This is the kitchen. We're 3 photos through. We've got to be pretty far. The next photo was like the basement. He goes, what the fuck is going on here? And the next 2 photos were this like taxidermy wall. It was a running waterfall, 8 feet tall, ran over these rocks. The rocks went around the wall by like maybe 15, 20 feet in both directions. And on the top of the wall, there was like a
fucking Bass
lion.
Pro Shop?
Bro, that's what it looked like.
What?
That's what it looked like. And then to make it better, the waterfall came down to like this pool of water. And in the middle of the pool of water was like a circular bed with a mirror on the ceiling.
Can you imagine investing that much money into a house?
But this is what people do.
And then you have to fucking sell it?
But when you ask like how often should you renovate your house? Well, you should do it for your own likeness, like you want to enjoy it, but at the same time, there's got to be some thought for fucking future.
Here's another question, not really related to this, but kind of. Home equity line of credit. Let's say you buy a house, live in it for a year, whatever. Can you pull out a HELOC, use that money to invest in another property, use it as like capital, like as a down payment? Or
I am not the bank, and I refuse to answer on air. I don't know the rules and regulations, and I won't tell you because.
Have you done it?
No.
What? I'm just asking.
Nah, there's certain things that I learned from a couple people in my life, and one of them was you're not allowed to leverage your primary home. Now, I'm not telling you how to live your life, and a lot of people do. There's a lot of great businesses and great success stories off of leveraging every penny that they have. But one of my friends, trying to make an investment happen, went to their wife. Their wife said, you're not allowed to leverage our primary home. And at the time I was like, but why? That's so stupid. This is a great deal, blah, 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 blah. But you know what happened? They found another way to do it and they made it happen anyway. And so for me, I was like, oh shit, leveraging your primary home needs to be your last option.
Right.
Not because you're not certain of your success, but because leveraging your primary home is like mixing family and business.
Yeah.
You're pushing on your family to create an opportunity for your future wealth. And it's like, why wouldn't you just allow your family to live in happiness and success and create another avenue that might cost more money or take more of an investment or more of a risk, or even more of a risk is the right word, right? Like even more of a risk, but it's going to have the same outcome.
Right.
Right. So if you were to buy an investment property, let's just use this scenario that I just thought of. I'm going to buy a property for $100,000. I'm going to invest $100,000 into it. It's going to be worth $250,000 when I'm done. I want to use the home equity line of credit that I have to invest the $200,000 into the property, and then I'll refinance out of it, and then I'll pay off my line of credit, and I'll have a primary refinance on that property, right? You could do that. It would be easy.
Right.
And it would be affordable. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8%, whatever HELOCs are, right?
Right.
But you could also get a hard money loan, get charged monthly interest on that money, get a huge, risky, scary portfolio loan product. And in the end of the day, build it, finish it, refinance it, and still have the same outcome. Yeah, maybe it cost a little bit more to take that route, but you didn't have to mix business and pleasure. You didn't put your family on the line, make your daughter scared about where their next meal is going to come from, or not be able to repair the car the way that you want it to because you have these liabilities that you can't manage.
By all means, I'm not saying to do that, and none of us are.
It's
but
just,
I was just asking,
everybody has a different threshold for pain.
I don't know if that was even a thing.
I mean, it's a thing,
okay,
but everybody has a different threshold, right?
Right.
So earlier we were talking about what makes sense for you, right? Do you use home equity to consolidate a loan, or do you use home equity to pay off a debt, or do you use home equity to do other things? It's all about your portfolio.
There was a paragraph in our To Be Frank thing Liv had sent out earlier, and I think it was like taking cash out on your home, right? I feel like that can be very dangerous. You can't just do that.
King me. Taking cash out of your home. Why is it dangerous?
I feel like that is what leads to, if people aren't responsible, leads to short sales.
Oh, well, yeah, but I mean, come on. If you need the money, you need the money.
True. But I'm saying, like, being irresponsible about it. Like, I don't know.
I think that there's a lot of people that overextend themselves and create an opportunity where their mere capacity to manage is taken away from them, right?
Okay.
So I personally wouldn't advise somebody to take $30,000 out of their primary mortgage if they owed $240 and their house was worth $325. Right. Like we're gonna take a $270,000 loan now on this $325,000 house. Then if we need to sell this home to buy a new one, well, all of our equity just went away into that property. So we can't even buy that one because we don't have the equity. Right. But there's other avenues to get that equity. So the example of using a home equity line of credit is an acceptable one to buy that property.
Let's see what else you put on there.
Consolidation, debt, equity, education. But
all I'm saying is I want to be one of those equity people. I don't want to be.
Well, I don't think it's today.
No.
And in fairness to everybody that might possibly be paying attention, thank you to the 4 people that watch our podcast.
He's 3 of them.
But I don't think that this is something we have to worry about today, or even for the kids of today. I think we have to worry about it for like 20 years from now, 30 years from now, 50 years from now. The kids growing up in those generations are going to have serious shortcomings to buy. Like right now, Baltimore City housing is at a stable level that it were a decade ago. What I mean is the home ownership rate, the ratio of homeowners in the city is equal to the ratio of homeowners in the city a decade ago. The population of the city is equal to what it were a decade ago. But what I think is as our population continues to spread into our metropolitan, it's going to push back on the city. And all of a sudden, all these city properties are going to get swallowed up by someone. They might be investors. They might be primary occupants. They might be people looking to flip or fix or live in them or whatever. They're going to get swallowed up by someone. Someone's going to start to own these properties that are currently vacant. And then the kids of tomorrow come in. What are they going to fucking buy?
Right.
They're not going to be vacants to values. They're not going to be grant programs out the wazoo. There's not going to be millions and millions and millions of dollars put out there.
To a point where people like they buy up all these properties and they just hold and hold.
I think there's tons of people that do that already.
Yeah, but like I mean on a much
ground rent.
I mean on a much more massive scale.
It started happening, but I don't know if it's a real factor.
Well, I mean if you're talking about 20, 30, 40 50 years from now, and then where's inventory at that point?
The problem is like, what's your profitability look like year over year from now to 20 or 50 years, right? Like there's not enough profitability to make it worth your investment. So if you were to invest $10,000 into 100 properties, you just invested $100,000. Is it worth $128,000 next year? That's a 28% improvement. Is it worth $120,000 next year? That's a 20% improvement.
Well, I see what you're saying. Maybe I'm looking at it in a different way, but like if people buy up all of these properties in 20, 30 years, right? Inventory right now is already fucking low.
Yeah.
So then I feel like later on, regardless of what the owner's profitability is, it's going to make buying that much more difficult.
Well, what I think is going to happen is these improvement programs, as they already have done in our city and in our state, they've turned home ownership into a primary thing. So there's going to be fewer vacant properties. There's going to be fewer opportunities for people to scoop up big chunks of land, right? And there's going to be fewer people that have the capacity to buy a $150,000 home, which is a readily available thing today.
Okay.
It's not going to happen tomorrow, right? Even look over the last 10 years. Could you have bought a primary residence for $80,000? Yes, I have a client who lives in one right in Better Waverly. She's awesome. And she has nothing but high hopes for her future and equity plays on her future. And we've talked about it a lot. She bought for 85 grand, a primary residence that was move-in ready. Can you do that today? Few and far between. It exists, but it's few and far between. It's like in 10 years, will there be a $150,000 home? Maybe, maybe not. But will the average income earner be able to afford the house that they desire to live in?
Dude,
no.
This is wild.
But I don't focus on you or me or anybody else. I focus on like our kids.
Well, I'm also I'm also just looking at it as a whole, as like community, as a world, as a nation. Like if this is just happening in Baltimore, where else is it happening? Is there like, not that there's going to be another like crisis. There could be. Who knows what's going to happen 20, 30, 40, 50 years, right?
Right.
But like understanding the supply and demand that we have now versus people start buying up all these properties, how is it going to affect everything else?
Well, and you said it too, right? Like, what about Baltimore, right? What about other cities like Detroit, St. Louis, Minneapolis, these other approachable price point communities, right? What happens when our price point becomes 400, 500? I mean, heaven forbid our average price point in our market becomes 900. I don't care what you do. There's not a way for an income earner to graduate college and make enough money to afford a down payment on a $900,000 house. There's just not.
This raises so many questions. Yeah. And like things that
teach your kids right. Make sure they play baseball or guitars. I'm not sure which. Very confused by the shirt still.
How are you confused? It just
makes me laugh.
I can't stand you sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I feel like the equity play is the only play to make. If you're not investing in your future, and I talked about it yesterday, if you had $30,000, you could buy a primary home in Canton for $300,000. You could rent out 2 rooms for $700 and $800 respectively. You could get $1,500 a month towards your $1,900 mortgage every single month, and you pay another $600, $700, $800 a month. You don't shortcut your fucking investment because I saved so much money. No, you pay that money and you save the balance and you improve the property and you paint the kitchen cabinets and you make the property worth more so that in 1 year, not only have you saved that $1,500 that you were getting from your 2 roommates, $1,500 over the course of 1 year is another $18,000 that you can afford to use for another down payment on another property. And now you own 2 properties.
Question. I'm a huge, like, I learned from experience and from like doing, right? Before you were a homeowner, did you have like a full idea and like grasp of like improving your home, like doing certain things to bring the equity up?
No, not at all.
Okay.
And I also think, and I'm not knocking my parents or my environment or anything else, but I think that I was not raised where you're 5 years old. You're going to start building your foundation for college. You're in 10th grade. You're going to start looking for a job opportunity. When you get a job in 11th grade, you're going to start investing into your financial future. When you go to college, you're going to look at what your future looks like so you can plan your graduation. You can plan your job. You can plan your life, what your foundational future looks like as it turns out to finances. Right? So then you graduate college and you get a job, and then your family life is saying, okay, so now you have a job, you have your 401k, you've been saving since you were 14, 13, whatever it is. Now we're going to start saving towards a home. We're going to save $600 a month, $800 a month, $1,200 a month so you can afford to buy that house. A house is primary. You should buy a house in the next 2 years. I didn't have that foundation of people that are in my ear like we have every single day. Grind, 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 work hard, work hard, work hard.
I have never
right?
come across this kind of like.
But that's what we have today.
Yeah, yeah.
And so for some people, they've been taught from a young age that they're going to buy a house. They're going to make money. They're going to be a doctor. They're going to be a lawyer. For other people, they don't have those opportunities. And that's what Live Baltimore stands for, is creating opportunities for people that don't even know about it.
Yeah.
And so what I think our job is for the next 50 years is to make more people know about it so that their kids can buy and become homeowners and not home renters when the tides turn, and then all of a sudden everybody is either a homeowner or a home renter.
I feel like the past 2 podcasts have been like a mini like summit kind of thing, and I just want to go make some fucking phone calls.
Meanwhile, we're over here fucking trying to make phone calls and do our shit. But no, I mean, I think the key is, and for anybody that's listening, we need to focus on getting our equity into a better position, creating a plan, not a one step, not a here's what I want, but a plan for what our future looks like. And it's okay if your future looks like, I don't know, I'm not comfortable, investing in real estate is scary for me. Okay, well, what do you want to do? What do you want to accomplish? How do you want to focus that energy? Do you want to own one investment property? Do you want to own a vacation home at the beach? Maybe we could take that want and build it backwards to say, in order to do that, we need to do this, 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 and this. And that starts with buying a house today, or that starts with saving a property or an investment today, or that starts with refinancing your car now so that you can afford the down payment, closing costs, and expenses that you want. It doesn't have to be like start from the ground and build it out. It could start from what I want to aspire to and build it backwards. And that's our job for the next 50 years.
I like how you put that.
Boomsies. Anyway, you guys know where you can reach me. You can always reach me on Instagram at MichaelFrank___, on our website at frankoliverco.com. You can always text me or call me anytime.
You can find me on Instagram at Christian the Deadhead, and you can call or text me anytime as well.
Talk to you guys real soon.
Deuces.